Now with the emergency throw rope boxes installed all throughout Bud Lake, if a person is in need of rescue, others can then run up to one of the emergency boxes, simply unlock it and grab the 75-foot rope that's inside and throw it to the one in need. But New York, receiving a score of just 23%, gives it a top distinction of the worst city for car driving. At least half of the units here in this apartment building were destroyed, and now officials say it'll all have to be demolished. And this weekend's closures are just the beginning. A major undertaking to have the Pulaski Skyway repaired will start in February of 2014, and those repairs will have the northbound lanes closed for 2 years. In Jersey City, Takesha Thomas, FiOS 1 News. Lonigan holding a presser here on Hawthorne Avenue in Newark outside of what is disputed to be Booker's home. Some say Booker, they've never seen him, while others, along with Lonigan, say he's never lived here. A makeshift memorial has now been erected in the backyard of the home where Autumn is believed to have been killed, and funeral services are now being planned. In Clayton, Takesha Thomas, FiOS 1 News. And a neighbor who lives in the complex says that the woman who is now deceased came from New York to care for her mother who lives here, who is now in a nursing home. In Union, Takesha Thomas, FiOS 1 News. Police say the two men went into the restaurant with the intentions to rob it, but unbeknownst to them, an off-duty police officer was inside. Residents here at the Mill Run apartment complex in Union were shocked to hear the news that a woman had died inside an apartment. But even more shocking was that her 4-year-old son had been alive inside the apartment all along.
That's really unfortunate that happens.
Police say they got the call around noon after a maintenance worker at the complex reported a body inside. A neighbor reportedly called complaining of a foul smell. And when the maintenance worker opened the door, he found the woman dead and a little boy emaciated. The mother had been dead between 4 and 6 days, according to police officials. The boy, police say, had been putting lotion on the mom's body, hoping to heal her. He was taken to University Medical Center for evaluation. The woman is believed to be somewhere in her 30s. It's unclear at this point how she died. Neighbors say they hadn't seen anyone from the apartment for some time now, but didn't notice anything suspicious.
Because usually either she's coming now or she's here. And she would say, Reverend, pick my mail for me. And then I go through her. Since I came back from Africa, December, I haven't seen her.
And a neighbor who lives in the complex says that the woman who is now deceased came from New York to care for her mother who lives here, who is now in a nursing home. In Union, Takesha Thomas, FiOS 1 News. Residents here in Clayton are still shaking their heads with grief over the murder of 12-year-old Autumn Pasquale. The girl was last seen on Saturday afternoon riding her BMX bicycle to a friend's house.
A 12-year-old girl, you know what I mean? I didn't even sleep last night.
There's really no words. You know, as a mother of an 11-year-old, it was heartbreaking, completely heartbreaking.
Her body stuffed into a recycling container and left on the curb outside the home of her alleged killers on East Clayton Avenue.
She was like really nice, and I really miss her a lot.
The alleged killers, identified in the neighborhood as brothers Dante and Justin Robinson, ages 15 and 17, known in the neighborhood to steal bicycles.
Did you say that Justin steals back or he puts bikes together? Let's make that
clear.
He steals
them and
what's that?
Takes them apart.
So say that again. What was that?
He takes them and puts them together, I guess.
I just can't believe this is like all over like a bike.
Police say this is how Dante managed to lure Autumn into the home. Now each is facing first-degree murder charges. Autopsy results say Autumn died from strangulation.
It's hard for me to swallow it. You know, they're my two little sons.
Knowing that was like 2 kids like killing another like an innocent girl, I just find it like really sickening.
A makeshift memorial has now been erected in the backyard of the home where Autumn is believed to have been killed, and funeral services are now being planned. In Clayton, Takesha Thomas, FiOS 1 News. It's one of, if not the most important endorsements a public official could receive, a nod from the President of the United States. And today, Democratic candidate for U.S. Senator here in New Jersey, Cory Booker, got just that nod.
Take it from me. Now more than ever before, that's the kind of leader we need in the Senate.
But while Booker did receive the president's endorsement, the latest Monmouth University poll shows his lead against Republican candidate Steve Lonigan shrinking significantly from 13% just 2 weeks ago to 10% today.
We have something that's very important in politics. That's called momentum. And it's not going to be stopped.
I think the polls have been all over the place, and the reality is New Jerseyans have to come out and speak up.
Cory Booker wants to be a U.S. Senator, not so he can serve the people of Newark and the people of New Jersey, so that he can go to Hollywood with a bigger entourage.
Lonigan holding a presser here on Hawthorne Avenue in Newark outside of what is disputed to be Booker's home. Some say Booker, they've never seen him, while others, along with Lonigan, say he's never lived here.
Now we learn that the mayor of Newark, New Jersey, doesn't even live in Newark. By all reports from friends and neighbors, doesn't even live here.
Cory Booker's camp issuing a statement saying in part that Booker has lived at the property for the past 7 years, calling Lonigan's press conference a laughable and desperate stunt to distract people from his extreme positions.
This is a clear choice for voters, and I'm hoping that this election we will be able to send a message to America about where New Jersey stands and where we as a nation need to go.
In Newark, Takesha Thomas, FiOS 1 News. Residents here in the Signature Place apartment complex just off River Drive in Garfield got quite the scare this morning as a fire ripped through one of the buildings in the development.
Didn't hear anything until the police officer knocked on the door this morning at 5. Said there was a fire, so we put some clothes on and left.
Fire officials say it all started after an unoccupied building which was still under construction caught fire.
Fire came in approximately 4:54, and on arrival we had 2 units fully involved at that point already.
7 apartments in the 14-unit building were destroyed. There were no reported injuries, but 2 adjacent buildings that are currently occupied were evacuated as a precaution.
We walked outside and we saw the huge flames shooting above the roofs and the sparks flying in the community, and we walked by and saw the building on fire, which was really intense.
It could have been a lot worse. Fortunately, it was an empty building. There was no one inside, so therefore no one was hurt, and that's the important thing.
At least half of the units here in this apartment building were destroyed, and now officials say it'll all have to be demolished. Fire officials are investigating a cause of the fire. One resident tells FiOS 1 News that the building was set to be occupied next month. In Garfield, Takesha Thomas, FiOS 1 News. It was just 3 weeks ago that the community of Mount Olive was heartbroken after the tragic drowning deaths of 2 15-year-old boys who fell into the icy Bud Lake. On Friday, officials installed emergency throw rope boxes placed around the perimeter of the lake in the hopes that another tragedy can be prevented.
It can't hurt, can only do good, so it's a great idea.
I think they're very handy. They should be installed a long time ago.
Now with the emergency throw rope boxes installed all throughout Bud Lake, if a person is in need of rescue, others can then run up to one of the emergency boxes, simply unlock it and grab the 75-foot rope that's inside and throw it to the one in need. On January 8, 15-year-olds Nicholas Cianciato and Clyde Shemansky accidentally drowned in the lake after riding their bicycles out to the ice-covered lake. It took divers 2 days to recover their bodies. Ice fishers and frequent visitors to the lake say they're happy to see the precautions being taken, although late.
At this stage right here, you have 6 to 8 inches on the whole lake, so you're pretty safe. But you still got to, be cautious and pay attention to what you're doing.
You never know what's going to happen, like with the 2 boys at the other end of the lake a couple weeks ago, which they shouldn't have been out there anyway because the ice was too thin. They should have known.
The township has also installed a memorial sign at the beach area of the lake with both Nick and Clyde's names. In Mount Olive, Takesha Thomas, FiOS 1 News.